It used to be that I felt like that I had to take a week off in order to work on my creatives. And these were things that I wanted to get to. These were my future projects. And if I just had more time to do this, my life's going to be so much better. This is my future. So I would formulate this plan that I'm going to take a week off, and all I'm going to do is kind of like that cabin in the mountain, and I'm going to write on all my projects and do all these kind of different things. Only I would get to the end of I would get to that week, to that vacation. And because I had worked so hard, I wasted it. Today on the Sales Life podcast, man, we're going to talk about your gains. And your gains are in your gaps. And recently, really, really good friends, Jay Shetty and Will Smith, Will Smith was on Jay Shetty's podcast. Oh, by the way, welcome to another edition of Sales Life. Sales Life is just not for those in the sales profession. It's for those who are building the life skills of selling, because I want you to never settle again. So anyway, Jay Shetty and Will Smith are talking on Jay Shetty's podcast. And there toward the end, Jay Shetty said, to go onto the set, to a movie set, is like nothing you've ever seen before. He said, it's the most amazing thing that you've ever seen. He said, because there are so many moving parts and it's pressure packed. And you've got all these actors, you got the lighting, you got everything has to be synchronized. And what you're working up against is the sun is going down. These actors have to hit their lines. Everything has to hit almost perfect in order to hit the scene. And he said, Jay Shetty said, I've never seen anything like that. And he told Will Smith, he said, his friend, he said, Will, I realized how committed you were to your personal growth when in between those pressure-packed situations where you could have laid up, you could have been pampered, you were in your trailer studying and reading in the gaps. How much time do you waste on your gaps? And if you're like me, man, you probably never even took notice of it. Because the gaps are those seemingly inconsequential at 5 minutes, at 7 minutes. It's just 3 minutes. Or maybe that half hour before your DoorDash is ready. And they're sprinkled all throughout your day. But if you add those numbers that I just told you, they equate to 45 minutes of gaps. And you didn't even realize it. Your gain is in your gaps. And instead of using these offhand minutes to consume someone else's presence, to consume whatever it is they want to show you, instead of consuming everybody else's life, why don't you use the gap to create a better future? And like I said from the get-go, from the top, I used to think, man, that I had to take a week off in order to work on my future. And your future starts now. It's not some if-then contract. Oh, I'm going to get to this and then I'm going to have that time. I'm going to sit by the pool. I'm going to take a week off. I'm not going to be bothered by anybody. Whatever it is that you want to do, it's your gains, man, are in your gaps. Because, see, I would take that week off. And I'd be so tired from working so hard that I felt like I needed to reward myself a little bit. It ended up being a lot of bit. And it was always tomorrow, always tomorrow. And before you know it, man, I'd be back in my regular life, back at work, pissed off, full of regrets because I didn't keep the promise to myself. So I want to remind you today, man, your gains are in your gaps. And so what I want you to do is I want you to preload different things. So if it's a video, how you consume content, I don't know. It doesn't matter. So whatever it is, a video, a podcast, a book, an ebook, a blog, whatever, preload these things, save them. So that way, every single time you have a gap today, and bro, I'm telling you, it seems like it's not much, but the pennies are what stack up. If you collect enough of them, they become millions. And see, you have all these pennies, all these gaps that you can pick up. It's a minute. It's 2 minutes. You know how many gaps that I find in between deals, man? Sometimes what I can do is I can start working on proofing a blog that I wrote, a podcast that I want to talk about, listening to a podcast. I may get 45 seconds of it, but it's the gap. It's the gap that I can walk upstairs when I got to walk upstairs and turn something in, that it takes me 5 minutes to get there, yet I put an earbud in, just one, so I can still hear from someone else. But I put the earbud in, and bro, I just got 10 minutes of a podcast. Those are the gaps, and you don't even realize the advantage that you have over everyone else, because everyone else is wishing they had these a moment when you have the moment every single day. Your gains are in your gaps. So what I want you to do is I want you to preload these things. Have them ready. Dude, when I'm standing in line at a grocery store, I open up my Kindle app. I'm standing there. Why just sit there and see what's going on in everybody else's life? And why not begin to create my own? So I want you to preload a video, a blog, a podcast, ebook, whatever. Anything. Now, here's the promise to this. Anything that directly correlates to the future that you want to be. If that's where you see yourself, then you preload it and you mind the gaps. Even at a red light. You know how many people have been sitting behind me? Because I'm sitting there reading, man. I'm sitting there queuing up the next podcast. When I go running, queue up the podcast. Anything I can do, the little slivers of time. I'm telling you, bro, they're going to add up. I have people all the time, man, that say, I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get stronger at this. But my question always to myself, because I really don't say anything because I don't want to be offensive, but I'm going to be offensive now. So if you find that you're saying these things, man, I'm trying to develop, I'm trying to get better, I'm trying to get to this. If you find that you're saying these things, then my question to you is what are you specifically doing to get better at that? Because if you think for 1 minute it's just going to come to you, that you're going to all of a sudden have a lot of extra time, we all got the same allotment. What's different between you and excellence and the richest man in the world, they treat their gaps differently. If you mind your gaps, you're going to manage your future. Remember, the greatest sale that you will ever make is to sell you on you. Be sure and leave me your comments. If you're watching this on the replay, leave your comments below. Also tag someone who seems to be flailing at times, who seems like they never have enough time. Tag them on this and say, you got it. It's 3 minutes. It's 5 minutes. It's 7 minutes. It's half hour. Whatever it is, you have the time. Mind the gap. Thanks so much for tuning in to the podcast. Remember, the greatest sale that you will ever make is to sell you on you, because you're more than enough. Stay amazing. Stay in the sales life. Thanks, Nat. Thanks for coming on, brother. Have an amazing day. You guys take care.